Hi, this is Captain Mike. This video is going to be part 2 of making your own wood stains. And I guess you could use the stains for other things that are porous enough to accept the stain. But we're going to concentrate on wood because that's what the first video was about, where I used water-soluble pigments to make the stain. But in this one, we're going to use oil-based products. We're going to use some Minwax Clear as the oil base, and then we're going to add oil paints to them. Real simple. And this is what we're going to need. To do this project, of course, you're going to need some kind of scales so that you can work out the math on how much pigment you wish to add to your oils. And you're going to need some gloves, of course, because this stuff won't come off of your hands very easily. A skewer to stir with, and some paper towels, and some jars to put it in. And I'm going to use white pine or fir, if you will, that has been lightly sanded as the base for taking these stains. And it wouldn't hurt also to have yourself a bib. Something to put over your clothes or wear old clothes, because you're going to, it's not a matter of will you get this stuff or some oil paint on your clothes, it's when will you get the oil paint on your clothes. So with that said, let's move this mess off right here and we'll get started with this experiment. Just to recap on where we have been in this do-it-yourself wood stain experiment. Here are some of the initial, or original if you will, things that I did using water soluble. You know, one of them would be sort of this craft paint like this, and then the other would be maybe water-based paint that came in a tube, which is more concentrate. I even used alcohol. And you can see the differences. They're quite noticeable. Two different types of red. I had Acadium red, I think, in the tube, and then some of the red craft paint. Now this has been on these here, oh, I'd say for a couple of weeks since I did the video, which is now online, on the water soluble. And to just kind of bring you up to speed, one of the experiments during that time was with some oil, using the Minwax natural oil, and I put some latex acrylic in it and tried to see if it would mix, and it won't. It's been sitting here all this time, it won't mix. You can shake it up some more, it'll mix a little, but it looks just really yucky. So that got me sort of thinking about, let's do a video on just using oil-based products and see how they come out. So here we are. As I mentioned, you need your little jars. I started with 1 ounce of Minwax Clear. Minwax Clear. That's all just what I got. Number 209. Because you can use it for lots of things. And I measured 1 ounce into each jar on my little calculator. And with that, I mixed up 1/10 of an ounce of blue. Happens to be Prussian blue if you want to really get next to it. And Acadium red hue. And those are oil-based pigments. And about 1/10 of an ounce. This is not going to be rocket science, so, you know, get it as close as you can so that you can repeat it. So what I had planned to do is I will take one of my containers that has the natural in it, my stick, and we will attempt to not make a mess and put as much of this blue in here as we can. And it won't all go in, of course. It's yucky to mess with oil paints. Any of those that you have that have messed with oil paints, you know what I'm talking about. But we got the biggest part of it in there, and for this experiment, it's going to be just really good. So put the cap on it. Put the cap on it tight, because we're fixing to shake this up, and we don't want this stuff to go everywhere, which it might, these baby food jars sometimes don't want to reseal. But you'll know when they do. So that's the blue. And let's do the red. And there may be some residue on the bottom of these jars, and if there is and it gets on my paper, y'all just kind of forgive me for the mess. Try to keep it as neat and as clean as I can for scientific purposes only, you understand. Alright, here's our red. And that's pretty much it. And could have mixed all this up off of the video, but I thought, well, maybe you just kind of wanted to see it shake. You can fast forward through it. I fast forward through lots and lots of videos that I watch to get some of my ideas, because as you all know, I don't have any original ideas. I just borrow other people's. So here we have it. You see that gob of red oil paint? Never done this before, so we're going to see what it does. Shaking it a little bit, and you can see it's mixing. Now the deal here is with 1 ounce of natural Minwax and 1/10 of an ounce of pigment is to just standardize a color. I don't know how well this is going to pigment onto the wood, but we'll find out. And when we do, from that you know to add less or to add more as your needs arise. So it looks like it's mixing pretty doggone well. I'm just going to shake this what I think it's going to take to make it do. It may not be mixed 100%, but we will see what we can do. Now I'm going to apply this 2 different ways. We'll let this set just a minute. I'm going to apply one of them with a rag and one of them with a brush. I've applied oil base both ways. And it just depends on what you kind of like to do. So with that said, let's go ahead and use the red first. Let's see what kind of a mess we can make here on our nice clean sheet of paper. Maybe even ruin the tablecloth below it, but hey, it don't matter. Wife gave it to me anyway. Now as you can see, it didn't all mix up. So let's put it back on, shake it up again. I'll edit all this out if it's just too long. Oops. Made a mess, didn't I? See what I told you about making sure it's tight? Alright, we're going to go with this, regardless of what it is. Because I think you get the idea. If I can get the top back off. There you go. Alright, we're going to go with this regardless of how much is mixed or not mixed. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this, okay? So what I do is I just kind of get me a dollop of it on there, and I smear it on right down to my line. We might put a couple of coats on this because you just don't know. But it looks like 1 to 2 coats is going to do about what it's going to do. Now mind you, it might very well work better if you let it sit and then put some more on it. I don't know. Why am I putting the top on that, Mike? We're going to take the brush next, and we're going to put some on with the brush. This is just kind of for grins and giggles. Now, when you put it on with a brush, obviously you get a lot more material, as you can see. But when you're using oil base on wood, it's usually best to let it sit for just a little bit, and then you can come back and you can wipe it off. That means it soaks in as best it can. So with that said, let's put a little blue on. Again, there's some right there. You know, if you were doing this at home in your studio, you'd say to yourself, "Self, I need to mix this stuff up real good." And you would. And you would be better off for it. Way better off than me. But we're not. Now I can see just a little bit of the contamination from some of that pigment that didn't get mixed up there. So take that into consideration. This is just to show you what this will do. By no means the absolute final word on what this stuff will do. Here I go again, putting the top back on it when I need to get some like this. And we'll try to stay off of the other stuff, off of the unmixed. So you see it goes on nice and dark. Alright, that's gone there. And I think it's time we can take this off. You can let it sit as long as you want. I wouldn't advise letting it sit and soak completely in because it might leave brush marks. But that's just me. So, as far as I can tell, there's not any difference. Whether you brush it or whether you put it on with a sponge or a brush. Obviously, it takes more material for this than it does for this. So, you know, if you're doing things and you got a flat area, you don't have to work a lot of crevices, then I would say that the terry cloth or a sponge or something you want to wipe it up, or actually a cloth, not a terry cloth. Yeah, terry cloth. I guess I was right the first time. What do us guys know about what that stuff's called? We don't. All right. So here we go. We're going to take the blue off too, and we're going to see what it does. There you go. Now, you're looking at it, folks. First time I've ever done this. And, but I will be doing it some more because I'm going to transition from a lot of glass and a lot of pottery to some wood stuff here for the rest of the winter and maybe into the spring and summer. And I'll be using a lot of stains on these toys that I'm going to make using no nails, just glue and pegs. But that's another video. So there we have it, folks. We have our oil-based pigmented dyes, and we have the ones that are done with, Mikey, why can't you talk? The ones that are done with latex paint or acrylics. And you can kind of compare them here, see? Do it this way. And that's just the difference in the colors. I'm sure you can get these oil-based a lot darker. You'll just have to experiment. But you're looking at it, folks. You're looking at making yourself some colored oil-based stain to put on whatever project that you want to put on. And I hope this helped. You know, some folks don't want to fool with oil. Some people don't want to fool with the water, the latex. And of course, each type of wood that you use will have a different result because of the grain structure. But you're looking at it, you see it does work. It's really pretty. It's subtle, but it's pretty. You can experiment with it to come up with bolder colors if you wish. So that is my experiment with, oh, wait, I forgot. There's some bonus footage here. Huh, almost forgot. You thought you guys were going to get away with a really easy video. What we have here is RIT, purple. Worked great in the water, which is what it's designed for. But we're going to cheat. We're not even going to measure. We're just going to pour a little bit like that. I want to see if the RIT will mix with the oil. And then I promise y'all, I will let you go. Mix it up real good. Didn't take much. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. And it looks to me like, looking at that cap, like it wants to kind of, sort of, yeah, there it is. It's not going to mix, folks. We don't even have to put it on the wood. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to show you that's what the RIT does. It's water-based. It does not mix. So don't save your RIT for your water-based stains. Don't try mixing it with your oil. All right, folks, that's it. That's the bonus footage. That was my last-minute experiment that my dummy head almost forgot. Appreciate y'all watching this. I enjoy making these videos. I hope you learned something from them. If you have comments, please put them in the comments below. Be adult, and you know, and I'll be an adult, and we'll discuss any problems that I have created or any suggestions that you have, because I want to learn from all of you all. So with that said, I'm Captain Mike. That's my video for today. I'm out of here.